Good evening, everybody. So glad to have you all here with us this evening. And we are really excited as we are thinking about our latest class of Leadership U, getting ready to recruit. And then, we're already in the planning stages for what the year will look like. And we can't wait to see what wonderful people are interested in joining us this year. So what I would like to do this evening is just do a real quick overview of what our organization is about. So Leadership Howard County is the umbrella overall organization under which Leadership U lives. And we began in 1986 as a 501c3 organization. And we are not part of the county government. We're not part of the public school system. We are a nonprofit. And we are a part of a national movement of community leadership programs across the country. There's probably about 800 of them that are, unique and special to each community that they're in. Some have high school programs, some have college programs, some have only senior level adult programs. So it just is a real variety, but with this common mission of basically empowering individuals to strengthen and transform their communities. And we do this by preparing, inspiring, and connecting leaders and to make Howard County the best place it can be to live and to work and to play. And we encourage all of our graduates from whichever program participating in to get involved and to use what we have as our tagline as taking your place, finding out how you can take your talents and treasures and contribute back to this community. And we really work towards being the vision of a critical force in preparing the leaders of our community with the knowledge and connections to have them build a stronger and more inclusive community. So we have two adult programs, our premier program for senior level business, civic, and nonprofit leaders, and that have had a history of community involvement. And then we have a young professionals program called Essentials, in which we have partnered with Loyola University of Maryland, which started in 1966. And then we, of course, have our youth program, Leadership U, which came along actually about 25 years ago. And we now have over 800 students and about 120 community service projects in all of these programs. So the final component of what Leadership Howard County has under its umbrella is our alumni programming, in which we offer opportunities for folks that have participated in our program to stay connected to the current issues that are going on in our community, also develop relationships from members of other class years, and make sure that we do building the network and relationships so that it will allow everybody to be even more effective in their volunteer work in our communities. So tonight, the most important part of my role today is to welcome and introduce you again to the three Leadership U alumni who are here this evening, each of which will introduce themselves and then share different parts of their Leadership U experience. So I think that Shivari, you are going to kick us off.
Hi everyone, my name is Shivari Thoredker and I'm a junior at River Hill High School. I was part of the Leadership U class of 2020, and I'm now a student representative on the steering committee. I'm going to share some information about Summer Week with you all, which gave us the opportunity to learn about organizations across the county, expand our networks, and forge connections with our LU peers. We started our week at Terrapin Adventures, where we participated in countless team building exercises. We spent the next 3 days learning more about our community over Zoom. On Tuesday, we developed our leadership toolkit by learning about communication skills and networking. We also explored cultural diversity through conversations with guest speakers Dante and Dave from the Bridgeway Community Church. The next day, our Health and Human Services Day, we met with the Chief Nursing Officer from the Howard County General Hospital and took a virtual tour of the hospital. We took a virtual visit of the Elkridge 50 Plus Center, conducted a poverty simulation, and attended a Health and Human Services fair, getting the opportunity to talk with representatives from the Community Action Council, Grassroots, and various other nonprofits who provided us with an understanding of their organization's missions. On our Government and Criminal Justice Day, we were able to speak with County Executive Dr. Calvin Ball, County Council Chairperson Deb Young, and department directors from the county government. Visits with members from our Justice Department and a virtual tour of the Howard County Detention Center followed, enabling us to further learn about the community that we live in and how we could support it. On the final day of summer week, we reflected on the week, brainstormed topics for our community service projects, and were assigned to teams of 7 or 8 students based on our interests, with each team working to improve a certain issue in Howard County. LU Summer Week really opened my eyes to the various issues that our community faces every day. For me, the virtual poverty simulation had a real impact because it allowed me to understand just how many things someone has to take into consideration when budgeting and the extent of food insecurity in Howard County. This ultimately encouraged me to work on a community service project targeted at alleviating food insecurity. Our success with the project built my confidence and really allowed me to see that even a group of teenagers can have a significant impact on the community. Thank you.
Next up, we have Nico Drummond.
I think it's hard after you've heard all that not to sound like an infomercial host and say, but wait, there's more. Because there is more. Because after you go through summer week, you have this amazing experience for about 3 months where you work with a small team on a community service project. And this is a community service project that you design as a team of about 7 other students. Which is a really, really unique opportunity that doesn't happen a lot in school or other extracurricular activities, because what Leadership U helps to facilitate is a mentor. And this mentor works with your team from a distance that gives you advice and guidance in terms of your project, but really lets your student team drive the bus. And so, you go through these months in development, implementation, and reflection, and you get to work with all of these community leaders and, organizations within the community to really pick out what you want to focus on and implement a community service project, which is just truly unique. And going into LU, I didn't realize how unique it would be. And I had a real pleasure working with a great mentor who was able to help our team focus our image and our mission, so to speak, and really create a great project. And then at the end of that 3 months, there's a graduation ceremony that you get to present what you've been working on for the past weeks and share it with your principals and those same community leaders that you worked with. And it's just a really great way to build networking, learn how to do group dynamics, and focus missions on achieving a goal. So it's a great experience.
Great, thank you, Nico. And then finally, we're going to hear from Nikita Kale. She graduated in 2019 from Leadership U.
Hi, everyone. So I'm a senior now in Marriotts Ridge High School, and like Meg said, I graduated in 2019. So I've been on the steering committee for quite some time now, and similar to what Nico and Shervery said, I had a great time in Leadership U, and that's kind of why I'm still involved. So I'm about midway through my last year of high school, and I've just completed like the college application process. So I've had a lot of time to kind of recognize the impact Leadership U had, especially in comparison to maybe like the other high school experiences that I've had. So for me, I think I recognize that everyone in the program gets something different out of the program. I've had friends who found a boost in their confidence and in their public speaking skills and who really valued that. I've had people that felt really connected to their project topic and continued their project after they graduated and accomplished some really great things through that. And I know people who met some really great professionals in the county and are now working with them or interning with them. So there's a lot of experiences that you can actually have after you graduate from LU and throughout your entire high school experience and even going into college. For me, I think that in addition to all these things and keeping in touch with a lot of friends that I still have from the program and my mentor, the one thing that I really loved about the experience was that you meet a lot of kids from other schools and with different personality types. And I think Leadership U does a really great job of teaching you how to work with these people and how to develop your own skills by working with people that aren't the same as you and don't work the same as you and maybe sometimes don't have the same opinions as you. And I think for me, that put me outside of my comfort zone with how I worked with people in high school. And so I felt like that put me out of my comfort zone and taught me a lot about how to work with other people and how to continue that as I grow up and move on.
Thank you, Nikita. Next up, we're going to have Eileen Harity. She's gonna share some details about the program.
Hi, I have the honor of being one of the co-chairs. I have been involved and been very invested in the mission of Leadership U since I graduated from Leadership Premier, and it's been about 12 years. And I've also been a parent of 2 children, and I really believe in this program. This is very much a learn by doing, a very experiential program. It lasts about 4 months, and it really helps to develop both leadership skills as well as learning about and doing and performing community service. And as Stacy said, giving the opportunity for students to find where they can take their place in our county, and certainly if they move from the county, in the world. We look to have diversity and a cross-section of students across Howard County who attend public, private, or home schools. We do have students that are completing their sophomore year, so they are rising juniors, but we love to show the program to younger students so that hopefully you can come back next year. We actually start in the summer and end by the end of the year in December. Our goal is really for that variety of students. We like to have representation from all the schools and home schools and private schools that we have accepting. We accept about 50 students, so we look to have a 25 male, 25 female class. As the students that you heard from, there are many reasons to do this. Hopefully, some of them will resonate. What's most important is that the student really wants to do this. This isn't something that we want parents to make their students do. It really needs to be something that the student has a desire for too. But it really is of benefit. My kids found they had different experiences and had different benefits from it. It can help you personally. It can build your confidence. It can help you with your strengths, weaknesses, excuse the phone, and help you to work better with peers and adults. Since these are students who are soon applying for college, you certainly you get a network, and you have that ability to meet people who might be references for you. It also becomes part of your own resume, both in applying for college and onward. The other piece of this is that you learn about our community. You learn about Howard County. You really get to know the ins and outs of both the public and private sector, and the public sector, and you really get to learn about nonprofits and where the needs are in the community. We are touted to be one of the top counties in the nation, but we still have a lot of needs, and this program really shows you where those needs are. So you learn about Howard County, what are the challenges and the opportunities, and then you do it in a very safe environment. It's okay to fail, and that this is not adults performing this program. The mentors are mentors. They are not here to lead. It's the students' program and projects. You heard a little bit about Summer Week, so I won't reiterate that too much, but you do get to go to many of the sites, and if we need to, we will do some of these virtually. Could be the hospital, some of it is the government. We have done the correctional facility. We've met with county council members. You get to meet with various healthcare representatives. Of the hospital, you can meet the president or some of the vice presidents and tour the hospital, even if it's virtual. The Department of Economic Development. And as you heard, we had a virtual visit to the Elk Ridge 50 Plus Center. And we do this Health and Human Services Fair where you really get to know about 12 to 15 nonprofits in the county. And sometimes those are what some of the students are passionate about and might become one of the service projects. We emphasize diversity and inclusion, networking, and certainly leadership skill development. So on that last day of summer week, there's a Sunday through Friday. That's when they brainstorm their community service projects, and then they vote. So the students are really kind of in charge and vote for what their topics are. They are then paired with an adult mentor and really start that last Friday, and then they will launch into the fall, which Karen Cherry, my co-chair, will tell you about.
Thanks, Eileen. As Eileen mentioned, I get to co-chair the steering committee with Eileen. I also have quite a bit of history with the program. So my daughter went through the Leadership U program in 2012. I graduated from the Leadership Premier in the class of 2015, and I served as a mentor for 4 different sessions. And so, you know, I have quite a different perspective when it comes to each one of those pieces of the program. So I'm thrilled to be able to still be involved with Leadership U on the steering committee side now. I'm here to tell you a little bit more in detail about the fall session. So Eileen did a good job with covering the summer week. And so we'll go into a little bit more detail about what is involved in the sessions throughout the fall. So there's about 9 Sundays where the teams will be meeting in person. Well, we hope in person. We were able to meet mostly in person this year. We did have a couple of virtual sessions, and so fingers crossed that next year we'll be able to do the same. We meet on Sundays from 2 to 4:30, and it's about 2 Sundays a month. So it's not every Sunday. Depending on whether we go virtual or in person, we will set the location. In prior years before COVID, we were able to have sessions around the county. Last year, we did meet in one location when we did our in-person sessions. So as we figure out more about where the virus is and where the health statistics are, as we get closer to the start of Leadership U, we will let you know about the locations and the plans for virtual versus in-person. So the teams on those Sunday sessions, the teams get together and really do their project work. They're focused on planning and then implementing their project, and then kind of finalizing in the last couple of sessions with putting together their presentations for graduation. Some of the teams, depending on the projects that the teams decide to do, there may be some outside work outside of those Sunday sessions. Some teams have done that virtually through Zoom or whatever virtual format. Other teams have decided to meet. It really just depends on what the project looks like. Let me see, I'm trying to look at my notes here. I'm not really good at following a script. I tend to go off script. Sorry, Meg. So I'm going to look at this. Okay, so the dates are published on the website under the Leadership U page. So you can take a look at those dates. They've already been decided on. The Sunday meetings are mandatory. So one of the important things with this program is that the students are working in project teams. And so if the students aren't able to attend the Sunday sessions, then they're missing out on the project work that needs to be done. So, so we do ask that attendance is expected for all of those Sunday sessions. Now, we certainly understand that things happen, so we do allow for one excused absence. We just ask that the students take on the responsibility of contacting both Meg as well as their mentor and their teammates to let them know if something has come up that they will not be able to attend the sessions. We've also had a lot of success with students if they're not feeling well or out of town. We have had some success with the students calling in, whether it's on FaceTime or whether it's on a Zoom platform, Zoom-like platform, so that they can still participate in the project work and in those discussions. As Eileen said, this is a student-driven program, so that students decide what projects they want to work on, what the topics are, and really what the goal of the project is going to be. This really gives the students skills in collaborating with their teammates, time management, goal setting, project management, critical thinking. There's a lot of skills that come out of the Leadership U experience. And we also have leadership lessons where mentors and sometimes other members of the, whether it's business community, will come in and really give some additional skills that the students can have in their toolkit through these leadership lessons. And, you know, those could be things like communication skills, presentation skills, or more project specific lessons that will help them with their actual project implementation. The mentors, Eileen had mentioned that the mentors are a big part of the program. The mentors, I like to describe it as, if you guys have ever gone bowling, and you know, when you go bowling, sometimes they'll put up the bumpers down the lane so that the ball doesn't go and fall in the gutter. So the mentors are like the bumpers. The students get to decide what size bowling ball they're going to use and how they're going to throw it down the lane. The mentor is there to make sure they don't fall off the cliff. The mentors are also there to help with connections. Our mentors are a diverse group of individuals who have a lot of connections in the community, as well as Stacy and Meg and our leadership alumni. We have a lot of connections, so we can really assist with the students and making those connections that will help them have a successful project implementation. Okay, I think we're ready for the next slide. So graduation. We all love graduation because it is the culmination of the entire program where the students get to show off what they've done and what they've accomplished. And it's really fun. We've had teams do presentations where it's a skit or a song or you know, a Kahoot game. The students get really creative with their presentations, and it's just a time for them to present to both the other students in the program, as well as parents, business leaders, and school administration. The session right before graduation is a dress rehearsal. That date is December 5th, and that date is mandatory. There is no missing that day. So mark December 5th on your calendars now. Excuse me. So the last thing I want to talk about is just some things that, you know, kind of housekeeping things for the parents. So, you know, most of what we need you to do is get the students back and forth to the sessions on time. And you will learn that Meg is very much a stickler for time. So she starts on time and she ends on time. And we would ask that the parents just during this program, some of the kids are learning to drive. So some of the kids have their licenses and they'll kind of be the ones who are responsible for getting there and out of there on time. But when prior to that, when the parents are still driving them, we ask that the time is respected. I think that during the summer week, breakfast, lunch, and snack are provided for the student, so you don't have to worry about packing lunch. The schedule, as I mentioned, some days may be virtual, some days may be in person. I think one of the things we're all learning through COVID is how to incorporate the virtual world into whatever the normal world is going to be going forward. And we on the steering committee are also looking at this program and trying to decide what makes sense that we can incorporate virtually going forward. So even if we get to a place of comfort with the health level in the community and we can meet in person, there still may be virtual aspects to the program moving forward. And then the other kind of important meetings for you all to attend is Meg will talk more about the application process, but once we have the class selected, it's very important that the students and parents attend the orientation session. There is also a meeting for the parents to attend, and that's where you'll get to meet the mentor that is working with your students. The mentor will also talk to you about the project that the students have selected, because I don't know if your kids are anything like my kids, but I tend to not always get all the details of what they're working on, whether it's schoolwork or a program like this. So this will be an opportunity for the mentor to kind of fill you in on what's happening. And then obviously, we would like the parents to attend graduation. With that, I've covered pretty much everything that's on my bulleted list here. So I am now going to introduce you to our next speaker. Her name is Erica Roberts, and her son Reese graduated from Leadership U in December of 2020, and Reese attends Appleton High School. So I'm going to turn it over to you, Erica.
Thanks, Karen. Well, I just want to say as a parent, I've been so honored to have had my son come through and recently graduate out of Leadership U. And also in terms of everyone involved in Leadership U, just to be able to pivot from everything in person to do a virtual in-person program, it's been exceptional. And really what I look at as a parent, what did my son get out of the program? One thing that I saw from him was just the ability to be able to work in a group. He's been the type of kid who, he's pretty smart, but he likes to get things done on his own because he knows he'll get it done. He's kind of like his mom. He knows he wants to get it done and when he wants to get it done. But being a part of Leadership U, he's been able to learn how to work with it in a group, and not just a group where he gets to pick his friends. He's been able to work in a group where he has developed relationships with students he probably would never have met because they're coming from so many different schools and different backgrounds. So I was very excited about to see his growth in that. Also, when I look at what my son got out of the program was just more of a confidence in public speaking. He was okay public speaker, but just to be put in situations where he did have to speak up, I've seen growth in that. An example for that is just this past Tuesday, he had a project and he actually volunteered to go first, which is not normal for him. So just growing in that confidence of public speaking. And the last thing I just want to mention that I saw and was just, you know, I grew up in Howard County and my kids have grown up in Howard County, but sometimes you get blinders on the needs in Howard County. And I remember him coming home from a meeting one day just saying, I didn't realize that there were issues in Howard County. And just to open my son's eyes, as well as the other students, to see that there are issues, but that he can also make an impact, whether it's health disparities, insecurity, food insecurities. He was able to see there are issues in Howard County and he can be a voice and to make that impact. He actually worked on a program for mental health. And that was just perfect timing for him where he worked with the group. They developed their own Instagram page and raised money to give back to the community when it was related to mental health. Each week they put up information and they had hundreds of followers and they were able to give money and give back. And the thing that was very impactful was the timing of that. He lost his tutor due to a mental health issue, but just being a part of that group was very helpful for him through that time. So I've truly appreciated the program. When I came out of high school, it just began, so I did not get an opportunity to be a part of Leadership U, but I'm so glad that my son Reese had a wonderful experience in Leadership U.
Great, thank you, Erica. It never gets old hearing how students have benefited from our program. And I'll put a plug in for Monumental, the mental health project. They truly have done an amazing job. You can follow them on Instagram. They really post some amazing stuff to really help you. And so I can't say enough about what they've done for their project. It's been really amazing. So I'm going to talk about more of the nuts and bolts of applying and the interview process, and I'll try to I'll try to be brief, but I do want to make sure the details are here for everybody. So our application is online on our website. It is due no later than Thursday, March 11th, which means you can get it done early if you'd like. The earlier you get it done, you get a better choice of interview schedules, because we do that on the whoever submits earliest gets to pick the first dates. So there is a little bit of benefit of getting it done early. The application, you can go online on our website and look at it. It's not real long. There's 8 short essay questions. You don't need to write a book. It's not, there's no weight test there with the answers. We just want to really get a sense of, who you are, what are your interests, how do you spend your time, all of that kind of stuff. And so we do want you to put some thought into it. And like I said, it's not the quantity, it's the quality of what you're writing. Students also are required to provide 2 references at the time of their application. They are responsible for getting those references. So even though on the application you will identify your 2 references, it's your responsibility as a student to reach out to those folks and ask them if they'll be your reference, and send them to our website, because we do have an online form that all of the references should fill out. Yes, as I said, there are 2, for obvious reasons. No family members may be a reference. We want 1 reference from your school and 1 reference from the community. For the community, it could be a neighbor, it could be a coach, it could be an employer, it could be someone that maybe volunteer in an organization, maybe you're involved in Boy Scouts or Girl Scouts. It can be anybody that's outside of your school community who knows you, who can give us some insight into who you are and what kind of person you are. As I said, students should ask their references. We always like to give a couple tips here. It's really important not to wait to the last minute to ask for a reference. You always want to give your reference plenty of time to fill out the information. So it's important to direct them to our website. We even suggest, if it's someone you see, now with COVID, you may not, but if it's someone you do actually see, you might want to print out the flyer for LU. You want to give them a frame of reference for what are they writing the reference for. They can look on our website, so it's important for them to really know what they're doing for you. And I cannot stress enough, it's always important to give people enough time for that. So you can share our website and they can take a look at it and submit it directly online to us. Now I'm going to talk about the interview process. So once you've submitted your application, we will start to schedule interviews for students. We do know that by March 11th, both your application and your references should be into us. Sometimes you might have to check with your reference to make sure that they've submitted them, and we're constantly checking too to make sure we've got everything. Everybody, depending on the numbers of applicants, we typically interview everyone, but if we did have a large intake of applicants, we might review the applications and limit how many students are interviewed. That just depends each year how many we get, but in the past 5 years, we have typically interviewed all of the students. We do have a panel that does the interviewing. This year we will do both, and it's the choice of the student. We'll do either a Zoom interview or we will do an in-person interview. It's completely up to you, whatever your comfort level is. We will have a very large space to conduct those interviews, so we will be able to wear masks and practice social distancing and sanitizing our hands and taking temperatures, which is our normal health protocol with COVID. So we will leave that up to you, and you can choose the way you're most comfortable with. We do interview in groups of 2 or 3 students. It just makes it easier because sometimes there are so many students that we are interviewing. It just would take forever to interview everybody one-on-one. So we just like to make sure students are aware that we do interview in small groups. We will be interviewing before spring break and then after spring break if we have a lot of excess. As I said, it is either in person or Zoom. We expect students to wear business casual attire and want to look professional. For many students, it is their first actual formal interview, so we get that. So we are not trying to trip you up or, you know, make it scary for you, but we would like you to look, you know, we want you to put your best foot forward. We want you to look professional and be prepared for the interview. They're typically 25 minutes long. We'll have to see where school is. Everything, our theme the last year has been flexibility and adaptability, because with COVID, you know, we're not always sure, but so we will work within the constraints of the school schedule. We'll have interviews that are after school, in the evening, whatever works. Having them on Zoom actually does afford a little more flexibility because there's not the travel time involved. So we'll figure out the time slots. It's typically, you know, after school. And into the evening. And sometimes we go as late as 8 o'clock in the evening. We do use Sign Up Genius. So once you do submit your application, typically end of February, we'll start to send out the Sign Up Geniuses to so that students can sign up for a particular slot that they're interested in. And as I said, we do prioritize based on when you do submit your application. So we will let students know by the beginning of May. We typically pick our class in the end of April, and then it takes a little bit of time to prepare the electronic acceptances. We do notify everyone electronically, whether you are accepted or not accepted, or you may be waitlisted, but everyone will get something. Just depends on if you were selected or not. And we do host an orientation meeting for one parent or both parents, but typically one parent and a student. It is June 2nd right now. We're thinking it's probably going to be virtual, but we're not 100% sure with what's going on with COVID. We did do it last year virtually because of COVID, but we'll probably have to make a decision at some point, maybe in April, of what we're going to do with that. The program does have a fee. It is $995 for the 4-month program. We do have tuition assistance and payment plans. We have a number of special donations and scholarships available from a variety of organizations. We are going out and asking additional organizations for scholarship money. So we never want money to be the reason why students don't apply. Or decide they don't want to attempt to get into Leadership U. We know that there are typically 3 barriers for students. One is typically time, because students are so busy. COVID has kind of changed that a little bit. One is money, and then one can be transportation for some students. So in terms of a financial barrier, we never want that to be a problem. If you apply and are accepted, we will figure out how to make the financial piece of this work for you. We never want that to be a reason why you don't accept the spot into LU. We are a very competitive program. So for that reason, you know, we want students to make sure they're willing to make the commitment of time, the mandatory summer week, and then of course the Sunday sessions. But we've had many busy students over the years participate in our program and have been able to make that commitment. So let's see, let me move on. So the last few years, we have tapped into our graduates and created an ambassador program. And that program is a little bit different this year because of COVID, but each public school has 1 to 2 ambassadors that graduated from Leadership U in December of 2020, and they could be a resource for both parents, students, and administrators at that school. The principals have all been notified as to who are the ambassadors for their school. And so this is a list based on the schools of the students. You may know some of these students or not, but sometimes it's better for other students to peer-to-peer, ask questions or hear, they want to know the real deal about the program instead of asking an adult. So we just want to make sure that, these students are, there are these students that are at your different schools, and they're certainly always willing to speak to you. Some of them are working with the 10th grade English and government teachers to make sure the word is getting out about Leadership U. They're working through their clubs, they're working through announcements, and through different programs and teachers at their schools to try to spread the word about Leadership U. So you can check us out on our website if you haven't already. Head over to leadershiphc.org. That's where the applications are, the reference links are, and also the tuition assistance form is on our website, and there's additional information too. My email, you should have my email since I did email you the link to this meeting, but please feel free to contact me with any questions. I'm always happy to answer questions or share whatever information that I can to be helpful. So Stacy, I'm gonna leave that. I guess I'll stop sharing. So why don't we?
Okay, Meg,
Sure.
the question you have in the chat box. Oops, what just happened?
Did we lose Stacy?
No,
I got
I'm
it.
still here. Okay,
okay.
we're good.
I got the
Sorry.
question, Stacy.
Yeah, so it's if your son is, if their child is involved in an internship this summer, how have students working with conflicting activities? How have we handled this in the past?
So we do expect students to make the full commitment for the week, for summer week. If you are doing an internship and you are not able to make the full commitment to our program, then we really suggest that you not consider our program. It's really, really important that students are there the full week. It's the Sunday evening to Friday. That's where students are getting to know each other, they're bonding, they're building relationships. And if you're missing half of that, or a day here or hours here, it really impacts the development of relationships and the support that your team has when you actually break into your teams on Friday. So as I said, we really do expect people to be able to make that commitment for the full week.
Another question is, can you share with us the type of questions that will be conducted during the interviews?
Oh gosh, well, some of them are around leadership. We might ask you, they're not kind of the gotcha, they're questions that there's no right or wrong answer, right? It's really, how do you feel about, have you observed a student leader at your school, and what did you think, what made them an effective leader? Things like that. There's, like I said, there's no right or wrong answers. We might ask you, this is my favorite question to ask. I ask it right off the bat, so I'll share it with everybody tonight. I like to ask students, how have they changed since they started high school? So, there's nothing, it's not a pop quiz, it's not a pop quiz on leadership. It's really more getting to know you, what you feel your strengths are, what are your activities. We might ask you, we typically will ask a couple questions of the 2 or 3 students that are there, like the same question. And then we might, based on whatever you write on your application, we might ask you about a particular program you're involved with, or maybe you traveled and we're going to ask you about what did you learn from your traveling, or, if you were, a lot of students are involved in sports. So we might ask you, if they were the captain of the soccer team, what was the most challenging thing about being the captain? It's those kinds of questions that truly do not have a right or wrong answer.
Meg, can I make a comment too?
Sure.
The one comment I would make is that we're not looking for students who are the best at everything. Many of our students have yet to flower, and sometimes this is a program that really helps them come out of their shell or acquire new skills, life skills. So this isn't something that's a competition that you have to have a whole slew of great activities that you've been the best at. So it's just important to know that.
Yeah, to follow up on what Eileen said, it's most definitely true. We do look for students of, and I'll say this, every kind of diversity. So diverse personalities, the diversity of the geography in which they live. You know, we want students from all around the county. We want every single high school represented. You know, if 15 kids from Mount Hebron apply, we're not going to take 15 students from Mount Hebron. We'll probably take 4 or 5. We really want to make sure that our class represents the Howard County community. So, you know, we want a variety of students in terms of their interests. Like, we don't want a bunch of athletes or a bunch of folks who are into drama or music. We want a mixture. We want students from all different aspects and have different activities that they're involved with. We don't want all super outgoing kids. We don't want all SGA presidents. We want students that are, maybe they're reserved and they don't know how to really get started with learning about our community, or they want to learn how do they get involved with service. They want to give back, they just don't know how. So, you know, we're looking for those types of students too, that really might need encouragement, might need to build their confidence up. And so, you know, so many people ask me, well, you know, kind of what's the secret to how you select students? A lot of it is just instinct. When we meet you, what do we feel about you? Are you genuine? Are you open to share some things about yourself? You know, we really want to make sure we have a really interesting class of students and that they are all really different, because that's what makes it so interesting about the program. Any other questions?
Yes, there's a question that was asking more about summer week. And so I put in the chat, I answered the dates and the fact that it is all day, each day, and there are different locations around the county. Can one of the students kind of share observations of summer week, you know, in a little more detail about what you're doing each day? I think that would help, perhaps. So Nikita, Nico, or Chevrolet?
Yeah, I can share like a little bit, and then
Thank you.
Sure, we want to add on to like things that I say. So each day, it's not overnight, by the way. I think I saw that question. So it's not overnight. So it's like a different location every day. So some examples, we kind of start off Sunday and Monday at a place called Terrapin Adventures, if anyone's been there. And that's more for team building. So you get to know all the people that are into the program and be put with, again, people like, I think we were mentioning this whole time, people that you haven't met before, and learn about how to do just team building exercises. And that's kind of your introduction to the program. And then the rest of the week, you get into kind of more professional places. Some examples were the hospital. My year was the year before COVID happened. So we got to go in person to the hospital and visit the NICU. We got to go into the correctional facility and take a tour throughout there. We got to meet Calvin Ball and the justice. So we got to see the courtroom and how that stuff looks like. So it's just kind of, you're going around to Howard County and you're getting experience to see these different services and these different professional environments that Howard County offers.
Anything to add, other students?
Yeah, so the question in the chat was, is summer week in person? Kind of depends on how COVID feels on any given day. But hopefully, you know, my class was virtual for most of summer week. However, it is usually planned for an in-person gathering. So certain events that we went through were in person, such as Terrapin Adventures, like Nikita mentioned. But then other aspects like the hospital visit, the correctional facility, those were all through virtual engagement. And while that's not ideal, we were still able to get all of the leadership skills and networking connections and all that stuff through the screen. So whether it's in person or virtual, or a mix of both, you still get that full LU experience.
So this year we hope to, again, we've already booked Terrapin for Sunday and Monday. My goal would be to, at a minimum, meet in person on Tuesday and Friday, because those are days that we have control over. Wednesday is our typical Health and Human Services day. I'm feeling pretty skeptical that the hospital probably won't let us come visit with COVID, even though it will be July, the end of July. But maybe we may split that day and do part of the day virtual and then some of it in person, like for the Health and Human Services Fair. We want to try to meet as much as we can and possible, as long as students are safe. So it's just a very different, as we all know, it's much different when you do things in person versus virtually. But of course, safety is our biggest priority, and we know we can do this safely because we did it last year safely. So I don't think the hospital will let us in, but I don't know that for sure, but we'll have to wait and see. On Thursday is our typical government day. Dr. Ball did meet us virtually last year, which was awesome, and the county council. The facility was closed last year, so we could not have met in person because the government offices, those folks were working from their homes and not in the offices. This year, I don't know where they'll be at the end of July. If we can meet in person, we will try. If not, we will participate virtually through Zoom. In the afternoon is our criminal justice rotations. Those we normally do at the George Howard Building in historic Ellicott City at the Government Center. Once again, we're not sure, but and then in the afternoon we also normally tour the detention center, and I'm thinking that may not be happening. We did do a virtual tour last year, so we have to, we just have to figure out what facilities will allow us to visit safely, and then make plans to do virtual visits for the other facilities if we're not allowed to go visit. But I definitely hope to have more in person this year, and we'll see how that goes. And then we did meet in person for the majority of the fall last year. We did meet at the Gary J. Arthur Rec Center because they have a very large space there. We basically broke into teams of 6 to 8 for the projects, and those students kind of remained in their pods and were able to be safe, for the fall. So depending on what's going on in the fall with COVID, we'll have to see, we may be doing that again. I'm thinking we'll still be wearing masks. Maybe probably we'll still be social distancing. We'll just have to wait and see, but we would need a large enough space to accommodate 7 teams of 6 to 8 students in their own area, but we just have to be flexible and wait and see. Any other questions?
There's no more questions in the chat, so I think that we're good. I guess we can offer the opportunity if someone wants to ask an in-person question. Once we are officially wrapped up, they can stay on the Zoom call, and we can, Meg and I will be here to answer any last-minute questions.
Well, I want to thank everybody for joining us this evening. I hope you found it informational, and we certainly hope the sophomores will consider the program. If you have any questions, even if you get off the call, you have my email. Please feel free to contact me. I'm pretty responsive, and really encourage you to ask questions. Like I said, the applications are on our website, so you can take a look at those. And honestly, I always tell students, if you're thinking, oh, it sounds interesting, I think I might apply, just apply, go through the process, get a learning experience out of interviewing, because maybe you haven't interviewed yet. It'll help you for college. See what it's like. You may be surprised, you may surprise yourself. We do, when we choose our teams, when we choose our class, students always have the option of not taking the spot. But we always suggest, if you really think it's something you want to do, apply and see if you can, be selected, and then you have the choice of either taking the spot or not. So, and like I said, we'll be here. If you have any questions, we're happy to answer any questions. But have a good evening, and thanks for coming.
Thank you. Have a nice evening.